Hello, Joya.
Hi, Catherine. How are you
How are you?
doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited about tonight. So I guess I was a bit late getting this started. I was having some technical difficulties, but I'm glad you were able to join us. Um, so to get started, welcome everyone to our May Mental Health Final event, which is a Q&A with Catherine ZHU, a social worker and the founder of For a Safer Space. Catherine, if you want to give everyone a bit of um, an introduction to who you are.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Zhu. I'm the founder and executive director for Safer Space. Our acronym is FASS. It's pronounced as FUSS. So we are making a lot of fuss here at For Safer Space. So I'm a registered social worker and psychotherapist in Ontario, Canada. I actually got my bachelor in women gender studies. So I'm very happy to be here with UW Women's Center to talk about gender, intersectionality, and also diversity and inclusion. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you. So we have some prepared questions that people have submitted beforehand, but for anyone who's watching right now, you can also submit questions during the Q&A, and we'll try to get to those as well. So to start off, do you want to speak a bit about, in your experience, what are some barriers facing women in mental health today?
Yes, thank you for this question. Actually, when I first looked at the question, I was like, wow, the first word that comes to my mind is actually hysteria, believe it or not. So for centuries, doctors readily diagnosed women with hysteria, an alleged mental health condition that explain away any behaviors or symptoms that made men uncomfortable. So throughout like 18th and 19th centuries, female hysteria was one of the most commonly diagnosed disorders. Mistaken notion that women are somehow predisposed to mental and behavioral conditions. And this diagnosis has made women policing themselves and their bodies, and this hindered them to seek appropriate help for centuries because of this diagnosis, hysteria. So now many feminists began to reclaim hysteria, using it as a symbol of systematic oppression of women and reclaiming the term for themselves. So many call hysteria is a form of oppression. So the idea stemmed from the belief that hysteria was kind of pre-feminist rebellion against the oppressive, defined social roles placed upon women. And the second word that comes to my mind after I see this question is postpartum depression. Around 15% of women develop mental health in the prenatal period, such as depression, anxiety, or post-traumatic stress disorder. And postpartum depression are, how do I describe it? Our expectations on mothers to put full energy into a child at cost for their own well-being. So this usually due to gender roles, which means that women are expected to be the default parents. The society at large also usually frowns on women trying to disclose their challenges with motherhood or raising children. This is more pronounced in certain cultures, while seeking for help for mental health concerns is seriously frowned upon. And also parenting can be an isolating experience, especially if a single parent. And also women's mental illness can be dismissed as premenstrual syndrome or being too emotional. Women are underdiagnosed for ADHD and ASD symptoms displayed differently and are dismissed. So these are my two first impressions after I see this question. I know it's a very long first impression.
Yeah, I mean, you went over so many different barriers. It's like hard to like conceive of all of them. But one thing I noticed in your answer was that they were sort of like both the way that the medical systems affect women, but then also the way that they're internalized and like cause people to second guess their own symptoms and like even seek help for the first place. So yeah, it's very interesting. So as you mentioned at the beginning, you're also an expert in intersectionality, and it's something that you really work for in your work. So can you speak about the importance of viewing mental health care through an intersectional lens?
Yes, for sure. I see that UW Women has done a really good job in spreading words and also raising awareness around intersectionality in your previous post. So here I want to do a little like interaction between me and also the audience here. So please comment below. How do you define intersectionality? What are some of the first impressions that you have when you first see this word, intersectionality? Please comment below. Let's see what are some of the answers that we can get.
I'm excited to see what the audience is saying.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I guess while they're waiting to type, I can sort of say what I think it is. I always think of intersectionality as the idea that when we're talking about feminism or in particular because of the Women's Center, it's important to take into consideration the fact that it needs to serve people of a variety of different identities, and we need to consider the way they intersect on different axes of oppression.
That's a very good answer. Thank you very much for answering that. So as I can see, many people are still like processing their thoughts. So maybe we can move forward and maybe people can comment as I speak. So here I really want to recommend a tech talk from Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw, and the title is The Urgency of Intersectionality. So in this TED Talk, Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw uses the term intersectionality to deal with the fact that many of our social justice problems, like racism and sexism, are often overlapping, and it creates multiple levels of social injustice. So, for example, as an Asian Canadian woman, I face all kinds of dilemmas and challenges as a consequences of my like intersectional identity. So, for example, intersections of race and gender, etc. So all those social dynamics come together and create challenges that are sometimes quite unique for me as an Asian Canadian woman. So intersectionality requires that someone's entire existence as a whole is considered rather than breaking them down to different aspects. Like a lot of our identities are overlapping. And this is the importance of understanding intersectionality. And also it is our responsibility to acknowledge that our mental health is impacted by our multifaceted identities of gender, sexuality, class, age, religion, culture, disability, or any other aspects, etc. We all share unique life experiences, and these experiences are all valid. We need to remember that. And speaking from an intersectional mental health care point, so intersectional mental health care means that we are treating a person as a whole, not just a mental illness. If people have mental illness, that doesn't mean that they are mental illness. That means that they have a symptom or they have a diagnosis of mental illness. But that's not all of them. It's just a part of them. So we must view the person with all their social locations. This means that one considers the impact different forms of oppression has on their experiences of mental health challenges. And I will give another example here. For example, if as a mental health professional, if I am providing mental health care for an indigenous person, I want to ask myself first, where do I stand now in the society? And what is my position here to provide mental health care to that person? Does colonialization and the impact of generational trauma tie into this person's mental health challenges? So this is what I mean by intersectional mental health care. I have to treat a person as a whole. I have to take their social environment, cultural environment, their upbringings, etc., all into consideration when I provide mental health care.
Yeah, that's amazing. How do you think you did a great job at describing sort of how on the individual healthcare profession or practitioner level, they can make sure that they're providing mental health care from an intersectional lens. How do you think organizations like the Women's Center or other organizations that provide mental health care can make sure that from the organizational level, they're taking an intersectional lens with their mental health care that they're providing?
I think what UW Women's Center has been doing is awesome because you guys are raising a lot of awareness on intersectionality. You're posting a lot of social media posts to raise awareness on different aspects or different facets of people's lives. For example, gender, for example, sexuality, for example, intersectionality, because these are not because when we think about intersectionality, gender, sexuality, these are not some things that people usually think about because like a lot of people know, okay, I know the meaning of it, but I don't know why there are so many contexts into it and why there are so many studies behind this. Because to many people, it's just gender, sexuality, and intersectionality. But for like people who study social science and also gender studies and also sexuality studies, we know there's so much more to that. We know it's tied into social structure, social system. We know it ties to power, and we know it's tied to systematic oppression. We know it's so much more beyond the sexuality, gender, and intersectionality. So raising awareness is definitely, I think, one of the key things that organizations can do, and the UW Women's Center has been doing really well here.
Yeah. And I hear you're also saying like being aware of the individual's identity, but how that sort of interacts with the systems in the society that they live in.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Totally. Okay. So I see we have some new people who joined. So I said at the beginning, we have some questions that people have already submitted, but if you have any questions you would like Catherine to answer, feel free to submit them now and we can get to them. Moving along though, so this is a COVID related question. So research has shown that COVID-19 pandemic has affected women more profoundly than men in several areas, both at the workplace, especially in the health and social sector, and also at home with increased workload due to lockdown and quarantine measures. So my first question related to this is, how can women cope with the increased stress and workload that they're experiencing right now?
So this is something that I always tell my clients to take a deep breath. Whenever you feel stressful, you feel stressed out, take a deep breath. So let's do it together. So first of all, find a comfortable spot. And then we inhale, and hold it for 4 seconds. And exhale, and hold it for 4 seconds. How do you feel?
I feel a bit more relaxed. I'm not going to lie. I was a bit nervous about hosting this live, so it's helping me sort of calm my nerves a bit.
Awesome. So usually what I tell my clients, if you feel stressed at the moment and you don't have any time to talk to a therapist right away, or you have to do something that you need to do in the next minute, always remember, you can always come back to your breathing. Always take a deep breath. You can take 1, you can take 5, you can take 10. Usually I recommend them to do 5 to 10 deep breaths. It will help them a lot. So, and also look into support groups in people's areas, and also always find your support network, either family, friends, support groups, counselors, or otherwise. And also our website and also our YouTube channel. So For Safer Spaces YouTube channel has over 170 psychoeducation, self-help, and also social justice education videos on our YouTube channel. So feel free to check out our YouTube channel to learn those skills from our videos. So these are some of the tips that I can give to people.
Awesome, that's helpful. I know that at this point, I feel like a lot of us are just getting like used to the amount of stress we're under because of COVID, but it's important to sort of realize that it's not normal and keep taking care of ourselves. So related to For a Safer Space, can you give some examples of how your organization uses technology to empower your clients and provide the care that you do?
Yes, for sure. So For a Safer Space is a 100% permanent remote environment. We don't have an actual like office space because our organization's existence is because of the COVID. We find that people need help during the COVID, and I just created this organization to help people during the COVID. And there is no physical accessibility barrier because we are 100% permanent remote environment. And we strive to make our website accessible to everyone according to AODA standard. So 100% remote means it is more accessible. We offer support that can be hard to access for many people. And we offer unlimited long-term free mental health consultations. And these consultations are all through virtual platforms. And also here, I would like to acknowledge my awesome interns, Caitlin and Rashida, who contributed to today's answer to interview questions. They also have worked on so hard on the upcoming gender-based violence network project that aims to support and empower survivors. And we believe survivors, and we're here for you. We just want to say that to survivors. So currently, FASS is in the middle of developing a chatbot, so where we use technology. We're developing a chatbot called FASS to help survivors to find help in seconds. So the friendly chatbot who will connect people in tough situations to critical services. And we envision a world that leaves no survivor behind. And this is how our organization uses technology to empower clients.
Yeah. What are some benefits that you've seen to like not adapting your organization to a virtual environment, but sort of making it built for the virtual environment?
I think, first of all, it saves a lot of money. I don't have to rent any office space, so we can start the organization off the ground pretty quickly because I don't have to find any office space, and we can just build a virtual team, like a remote team right away. And a lot of our founding members in For a Safer Space are all good friends of mine. We've known each other for over 5 to 10 years. And this is a very loving, kind, warm working environment for volunteers, interns, and also all founding members. And because of this, many people join us because we don't have any office space. We offer 100% permanent remote working environment, so people can work with us from all over the world. We have volunteers from Lithuania, we have volunteers from India, we have volunteers from China, Thailand, USA, UK, and Paris, etc. Because of this 100% permanent remote environment, we are able to make sure our organization as diverse and as inclusive as we can. And because of these volunteers and also interns who come from different cultural backgrounds, it definitely broadens our horizon and makes our vision bigger and bigger, to be honest. And we are striving to provide help to people around the globe.
How do you find making sure that you are hiring a cohort of mental health practitioners who have come from diverse backgrounds is helpful for the care that you provide?
Yes. So our organization, we offer different kind of like free services to people who need our services. First of all, the free services to clients who need to see a mental health professional. And second, the free service to therapists who want to list their services on our bilingual mental health platform. So we want to level the playing field for therapists who've been traditionally defined as marginalized and vulnerable. For example, people who define themselves as, who self-identified as themselves as BIPOC, indigenous, and also neurodivergent, and also people who identify themselves with people with disability, etc. So when our organization, we offer free listing to feminist therapists, LGBTQ friendly therapists, and also BIPOC therapists, because these three groups of therapists are usually seen as more vulnerable and more marginalized. So when we first do the outreach, we will reach out to these groups of therapists and to ask them to be listed on our platform.
So you're saying that it's helpful both in providing jobs to marginalized therapists. Do you think it's also important to your customers and your clients to have the access to more diverse therapists and stuff like that?
Yes, definitely. Many clients, they come to us through our Stop Asian Hate Toronto Instagram because we do operate that program, that Instagram account as well. And many clients who come from that Instagram account ask us specifically, can I speak to Asian identified therapist? Can I speak to someone who shared the exact same experience and identity, please? Because I don't have to explain my personal identity or personal experience anymore. So yes, it will definitely benefit to clients as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. So again, some new people have joined. So if you have any questions for Catherine here, a social worker and the founder of For a Safer Place, please feel free to enter them into the chat now. So our next question is, do you have any advice for aspiring social workers or people who want to work in the mental health field, given your vast experience?
Yes, for sure. I think this is one of the most exciting part in this interview questions because I do love my job. I love being a social worker. I always see myself as a proud social worker. I love my profession and I want to see more social workers in Canada because I think our profession definitely lights up the world. Definitely biased. So For a Safer Space is actually a social work value-centered not-for-profit organization. So some of the advice from me would be read and also educate yourself on a variety of topics will definitely help you to become a social worker and to apply to like social work schools. So reflect on those work that you're reading. So think about, are there perspectives missing? Do you tend to shy away from certain topics? Do certain readings make you uncomfortable? If so, what makes you uncomfortable? What kind of changes can you make once you are a social worker? How do you solve those social problems? So think about it. It will be helpful to write your personal statement when you apply to social work faculty. So next, I think social work is a very practical major. So definitely volunteer during your undergrad. Such as like crisis hotlines, peer support groups, advocacy groups. These are all very valuable experiences. Also, find your spark. Think about what drives you in this field. Why do you want to be a social worker? Why do you want to solve those social problems in the first place? And also, I want to mention that it can be so easy to become burnt out in this field. So knowing your spark and hold on to it, maintain it is very important to keep you going. And also be careful. Many people that we are working with, so many clients that we work with, they come from all different walks from their life. And many of them are survivors and many of them are impacted by trauma. So be trauma informed in practice, including towards yourself. Monitor your reactions and be aware of vicarious trauma and potential compassion fatigue. And also, being a therapist is not the only way to work in the mental health care. You can do so much more. For example, advocating, educating, and empowering all parts of the field. And also self-care is something that you would find valuable in this field. From early on, develop a self-care plan and get used to utilizing them when symptoms of burnout start to show. Always take care of yourself. Always treat yourself with compassion, with dignity, with respect. As you advance in your education or career, modify your self-care plan to better suit your need. Remember, we always have to take care of ourselves before we take care of others. And most importantly, be you. Always remember that you are enough and you can make a difference. And you can make a difference in the world. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was really powerful. I also think a lot of the advice you just gave specifically to aspiring social workers, I think a lot of us would do well to include into our lives, and like even if that's not something we're really interested in. So those are the end of the questions people have already submitted, but if anyone else has any questions, we have a few more minutes left scheduled with Catherine. So if anyone has a question they'd like to ask an experienced social worker, then now is your chance. If not, I want to thank you for your time and your insights, Catherine. It's been amazing talking to you. And I want to give you the chance also to promote anything you'd like to promote.
Okay, thank you very much for this advertising moment. So, as I mentioned before, our organization offers unlimited free sessions to people who need it. So you don't have to worry about the psychotherapy fee or any other expenditure. So it is definitely unlimited free sessions that are offered by our clinical interns. So our practicum site, so currently we are partnering with 13 universities to provide clinical or social work practicum. So we are like the official practicum site for 13 universities. So because we are the official practicum site for certain universities, so we have a lot of clinical interns who can provide free mental health services. So please definitely use this to suit your need and to find help and also to discover yourself, to get to know your emotions, to take care of yourself. So please come to our website and to book your free mental health service, and also let's embark this self-discovery and also self-healing journey together. And second, I want to say that please stay tuned for our chatbot, Fasling. Again, our chatbot Fasling is to help survivors to find help in seconds. And this friendly chatbot will connect people in tough situations to critical services. And we envision a world that leaves no survivor behind. If you are a survivor, please come to us. Tell us what kind of feature you want us to include in this chatbot. So we can train this chatbot very clearly, and we can train this chatbot to become a very clever chatbot, and it will help you when you need it. And also, if you need help, if you need mental health services, if you are a survivor, please come to us, and we offer unlimited free sessions to you. Thank you. And not only to survivors, to everyone. We offer free, unlimited mental health services. Okay, now I'm just getting too excited. I don't know how to do this now. I'm just getting too excited.
No, it's amazing. For everyone who wants, we have tagged FASS's, Instagram in our posts promoting this event. So they're available on the Women's Center's Instagram account. So yeah. Thanks so much, and have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm too excited to speak full sentence. Thank you very much, Zoya. And also thank you very much, Amy, for inviting me here. And thank you very much for having me here. Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye. Thanks also everyone for coming.
Thank you. Bye.